Alright, this is John Cole with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and we're going to do in this episode, and this is one I've been wanting to do for a while, is we got the Kuvings CS700, which is the whole slow juicer Master Chef model. Now this is a commercial model. This is certified for NSF, which means it can be used in a juice bar, restaurant, cafe, or even for production quality in manufacturing for that reason, because it does have the food safety certification. There's many household juicers that are out there that people try to use for commercial business, which, number one, may not be allowed by your local health department, and number two, the home juicers are just not really made with a durable motor that can run, and deal with all the abuse, literally, and use you will be giving from a commercial juice bar. This is very important, especially if you guys are going to be making a lot of juice. You got to have a juicer that's going to be durable. The Kuvings CS700 has a motor base here. This motor can run 24 hours straight. That is a testament to its durability and its sheer power. Most home juicers can only run for 30 minutes at a time before they should be turned off and rest. And if you just get an inexpensive, cheap juicer from China, some of those they say you shouldn't use for more than 3 minutes or even 5 minutes, which I personally find laughable. My normal juicing sessions in the kitchen maybe between 1 and 2 hours, where I'll basically juice for the next few days, and then I'll store those juices up, and then I'll juice basically every other day in that fashion. And a home juicer that I use handles that without issue. But if you're in a commercial establishment, you're going to be juicing lots of produce. And in this case, what I have today is I'm going to juice a whole case of organic apples. When I see a good deal in organic apples, like I got this case, organic apples for $8. Wow, and they smell amazing. They're like some gala apples. I gotta make a video about it. And people ask, John, I need a commercial juicer for my juice bar. What do you recommend? Well, if you need an NSF juicer, there's only a few options you could have. You could have this guy, which is like, which is relatively affordable for a commercial machine, but it is a commercial machine. And it's NSF certified. You could get a high-speed machine, which then oxygenates your juice, which I personally do not call that a cold press juicer. Or you could get a real, true cold press, hydraulic or pneumatic press juicer, like by Good Nature, which can run from $10,000 to $30,000. And those are the ones that most juice bars use, but most people don't invest $10,000 to $30,000. You could get this guy at present time. It's under $1,800 for a commercial juicer. That you can make juice. It'll juice all different kinds of produce, and every different style juicer has pros and cons. Of course, the press style will get a higher yield, although in some situations, in my opinion, this will make actually a higher nutrition quality. In addition, the two-step press juicers where you got to grind and press can take a little bit of time to press out. Sometimes it can take 2 minutes just to press out one glass of juice, whereas this guy will be a lot more fast and more efficient, so your customers don't have to wait as long if you're making juice on demand, which means the customer is going to come in, they're going to order it, you're just going to go ahead and take the produce, juice it, and have it out and done for them. This is going to tell you guys how long it takes to juice like a whole case. Say you have a whole bunch of carrots, you're growing carrots, you're a farmer, you have an apple orchard, you have pears, right? This is going to share with you guys how long it takes to juice this much. Now, here's the thing, right? If you guys are commercial apple orchard or wine or other fruits, right? What I would recommend for most fruits are actually on a commercial scale, if you're not having a juice bar, need to do it in front of somebody, is you guys want to get like the old traditional, old school cider mills or grape presses, right? These are what they've made in the Stone Age, literally with just 2 pieces of wood, smashing the apples together to press out. That's a press and squeeze type juicer. Those are going to be always more efficient than this style, although they will take more work, whereas this is going to be a lot easier because you dunk the apples in and the juice comes out. Each style of juice produces a little bit better juice, a little bit different juice actually, maybe not better, it depends how you look at it. Those press style machines are usually pressing in some kind of cloth, think like even pillow case that does not let any fiber into the juice. You're getting a very pure juice. This machine, on the other hand, will put some pulp in the juice, which I believe to be a good thing. Fiber is definitely good for us, although the juicer does remove some of the fiber. some of the insoluble fiber. It keeps all the soluble fiber, and you know this machine specifically will put some of that insoluble fiber back into the juice, which is like that pulp, you know. And some people like the pulp, some people don't. If you don't like the pulp, you could always take a sieve and remove the pulp there. And now I want to talk about the apples. Now these apples, right? Very important if you're juicing in any vertical juicer or any kind of slow juicer. You want to pick the proper apples, right? What are the proper apples? The proper apples are fresh apples you fresh harvested that are nice and firm. If you take your finger and you try to push into them, they won't dent in. That's very important. If you are juicing soft apples in a slow juicer, I don't care what kind of slow juicer it is, you may make more of an applesauce, and softer apples tend to make a more juice with a lot more fiber in it. So if you don't want to end up making applesauce, make sure you get nice and firm apples. You know, soft and old mealy apples will honestly also be better juiced with a grinding and pressing style juicer than one of these machines that you really need to have nice firm produce if you don't want to make too much pulp into your juice. Of course, I'm juicing apples straight today, but a way to minimize that would be if you juice apples with carrots and alternate feed them. Then that's going to help the soft mealy apples go through the machine much quicker. And so these ones are kind of like not super crisp, fresh picked. I mean, they are shipped all the way over from New Zealand, which amazes me how these guys get here. And then I buy a whole case, which this case weighs about 34 pounds, and that's how much you'll be juicing in a minute. For $8 at wholesale. Anyways, let's go ahead and explain more about the machine. This is a commercial machine, the one that I would recommend if you guys are opening a juice bar. It does handle a wide variety of produce from fruits, vegetables, and leafy greens. Although on the leafy greens and certain produce items, you should prepare it properly. I'll put a link down below to a video where I did about the CS700, talk about this more, also as well as a formulation video I did with the little brother of this one, the CS600, which is the non-NSF version. So if you need the NSF, you need to get the one with the stainless steel bowl here. And the reason why I like this is because it is super simple and easy to clean, right? Number one, you have this feed chute, and this feed chute right here has a trap door lid, which is going to make feeding these apples super quick, super easy. This is the largest feed chute on any juicer that I'm aware of. It's 3.5 inches in diameter. If you're not putting the trap door, then you just have a standard chute here that'll fit most standard carrots in there. So you have to clean that when you're done. Next, you have the auger. This is the GE Ultim auger, 8 times harder plastic than plastic previously used on augers, and nice and heavy duty. I like underneath. You could get your finger underneath there to clean up, and when you're done, there will be pulp underneath the auger, so don't be alarmed. Next, we have the juicing screen. Basically, everything is ground up with this auger as it's spinning around. It's crushed and squeezed and literally slow pressed, and literally the juice is pressed and squeezed out. With no heat being applied, so I would consider this a cold press juicer. And then the pulp and the juice is contained within this chamber. The pulp comes out this little hole in the bottom, which then ejects out of the right here. And then meanwhile, the juice basically will flow out all the holes. This design of the screen with the silicone ring in the bottom, gasket, bushing, allows for easier cleaning when you're done. And then finally the bowl, 100% stainless steel. I like this nice heavy duty piece. The spout where the juice comes out is all stainless steel. And once the pulp starts coming out here, this is a little plastic ejection port and they have no silicone flaps on the bottom that may break or you have to deal with. Assembly is very easy. You're just going to go ahead and put this on with the spout where the juice comes out this little front, out the front of the machine. Locks into place. You're going to take this little red dot here on the screen, line that up with a little indentation right here. I believe Kuvings should put a little drop of red in there. It just drops into place. Then you're going to take the auger. The auger just seats right down straight down in there. You might have to turn this and rotate as you're pushing down to get it fully seated. Finally, there's a little red dot. It says open. You're going to place that to the red dot on the screen and the dot on the housing. On open, it's going to drop down, and then you're going to turn the open to the close to line up with the little indentation. And then in the back here, there's a little arrow, lines up with the arrow right here. If this is not completely assembled properly, it will not turn on. I've assembled it properly, and the unit is plugged in, and it'll turn on. And this machine I like. It runs at a low and slow 60 RPMs, revolutions per minute. That's incredibly slow. On some of those press style juicers, the high speed grind maybe in excess of 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs on some of them, which in my opinion do oxidize and damage some of the juice before actually it is pressed. In this machine, I like that the whole process is done basically 60 revolutions per minute. I don't know what else I could. Oh, the other thing I want to say about this is while I will be juicing 34 pounds of apples in one sitting at one time in this machine, that is not recommended. Kuvings recommends that after every 2 liters of juice, which is 2.11 quarts, you want to stop the machine and you're going to take off this top set here, and then you're going to put on a new one and replace the new one back on. So they give you a whole extra one of these NSF certified top sets, so you could basically put in a new screen, a new auger, so you don't get problems with clogging and jamming and reduce yield. Because this machine, unlike its predecessor, the CS600, deletes the wiping blade on the screen can get impacted with more pulp. And if you don't change out this after every 2 quarts, or when you do a recipe change, or every 30 minutes, then you may get reduced yield. I'm not going to worry about that. I just want to juice these straight without stopping. And then after this amount, you definitely would want to change out the top set or minimally clean this one before you continue to juice. So I am giving you guys that warning because Kuvings might be thinking, John, what are you doing, man, juicing this straight? Well, you know, I like to show you guys actually what happens. I don't want to be hampered by changing out a top set, and I want to see what happens and show you guys what happens if you have, you know, lugs of apples that you're trying to juice. I think that, oh, and then I'm using non-standard catch cups. They do give you 2 plastic catch cups, but convenient enough, I find that these standard glass, I think these are made for like beer mugs or beer pitchers, you know, work perfectly to catch your juice in this machine, which is what I'll be using today. And then when I'm done, I'll be storing the juice in these mason jars, and I'll be using the mason jar lids, and then I will be then also using the Food Saver mason jar wide lid, and then we have a Food Saver Fresh Saver pump. This allows me to basically pump out the extra oxygen out of the juice when I'm storing it so that it'll last longer. So yeah, I have this and this whole technique about storing your juices in another video. I'll put a link down below for you guys to see that if you're interested. And the other thing I'm going to add is, as I'm juicing, I'm going to drop in a few lemons into the juice. This is going to help with the preservation of the juice and really in no way affect the juicing. And I think that's pretty much it. I think without further ado, I want to just go ahead and get into juicing. I'm not really going to talk through it for the most part. I just wanted to go through and show you guys how long it takes, and I'm just going to do it. If I do have any issues, I will stop and basically share with you guys what's going on. But I think without further ado, we're just going to get started. So we're going to go ahead and turn this machine on. We're going to go ahead and hit the start button there. We're just going to take 1 apple and dunk it in. And we're not going to use a pusher. We're going to just let the machine tear it up. And the machine takes 1 apple in. It's crushing and squeezing out all the juice. You guys can see the juice coming out here. The pulp starting to come out here. The pulp looks fairly wet to me. We're going to take the next apple and drop it in. Very important. You don't want to just, oh, I put that one in. You're going to put the next one in. You don't want to like just keep going as fast as you can. You want to let this last one process before you put the new one in. And that's what the time is going to show. We're going to give it, you know, a little bit of time to process before I put the next apple in there. And I guess without further ado, we're just going to speed this up for you guys to save you guys some time. And I'm going to get to juice 34 pounds of apples in front of you. I want to stop it right there for you guys, let you guys know what's going on. So I'm continuing to juice. It is working, but what's happening is because my apples are a really soft texture, they're not going through the machine as well as I would have hoped. You can see the pulp's coming out really nice, although there's a lot of backup here in this top beet shoot area. This can be rectified by juicing apples with carrots. So unless you have nice firm apples, you know, I don't know that I'd recommend this particular task. Because you won't be able to drop the apples in and have it work without issue. You'll have to maybe, you know, put an apple in and then maybe use a tamper a little bit, you know, to help push that apple through the machine, which is definitely going to slow down your production. Now maybe if you're doing something like oranges or even firmer apples, you might not have this problem. Once again, I'm using more softer apples, but these are the apples that you guys might use. I did pull a vacuum on this guy because there's lots of air bubbles. It pulled out some of the juice with there, but I do have a nice vacuum on the jar. Alright, and once I started using this this pusher here, it helped out a little bit to help push down some of the pulp that's sitting up in this feed chute area. Alright, the time has finally come. Oh my gosh, check it out. This is the last apple I have. Oops, the timer there. And we're going to go ahead and juice up this last apple here. Now, I want to let you guys know a few things. Let's see here. I have a pretty significant pulp backup into the feed chute. I mean, this whole feed chute now is pretty much just solid pulp. So that happens for a few reasons. Number one, primary reason, because I was using softer than desired texture apples. So very important, I will stress that again, get nice firm fruit that you cannot dent. These apples even had a few bad spots that I had to cut out sections of so that they would not get juiced. And that's what happens when apples get kind of old. So if you get a case of apples that have a lot of bad spots, that's probably not a good case of apples to be juicing in this machine alone. Now once again, if I was juicing this with carrots or with other things that have a nice hard texture such as root vegetables, and even did like an apple and then a piece of jicama, an apple piece of jicama, or an apple, a apple, a carrot, it worked great. So you know, I did put that last apple in. I think we're pretty much done. But what I want to do is, if you leave this running, all this extra pulp in the feed chute here will over time work its way out, as long as you don't have a pulp jam. And you can determine that by if pulp is still moving out of the outlet port. So if pulp is still moving out the outlet port, that means you don't have a jam, and all this material in the feed chute will eventually get worked through. That being said, it may take quite a bit of time, and I don't know if I'm willing to wait that much time for just a bit more juice. But as you guys can see, this juicer has been running continuously without issue, literally putting out more juice than I could take care of at this point. I've created more apple juice than I have in my entire life. And so this didn't go as quickly as I would have hoped. You know, if you did have, once again, firm apples, it would work a little bit better than this. That being said, this is real world experience, what I'm doing. So if you have an apple orchard, I would not necessarily recommend this machine. As I said earlier, you want an old school press style machine. Now if you're juicing juice bar and you're making one juice at a time, you're not doing batches like this, you know, and specifically apples only. If you have a mixed juices, it'd be alright. Plus, I did not change out this top set, and I'm really curious to see what it looks like when I take it apart. I think I'm pretty much done. I've been, you know, kind of coaxing some of this apple pulp in the feed chute to get in the machine, and I think we've gotten the majority of it. So we're going to go ahead and hit the stop here. So literally it took me 40 minutes to juice 34 pounds of apples. So that's it took me over a minute a pound, but we've created lots of apple juice here. That's straight apple, and the rest, these ones all have apple and lemon. And these are 64 ounce straight up. And this pitcher filled up is about 64 ounces. And then we got whatever's coming out of the machine still. right there. And I suppose if you just hold this, you know, it's trying to feed in some of that excess pulp that has not gone through. It's still going through, and I mean, I could probably let this sit for another 10 minutes, and you know, it would continue to juice. Which you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and let that do while you guys are waiting. I did notice that if I did tip this up, it was working a little bit better with pulling it in. So gravity's pulling this last little bit in. So maybe I'll just hold that up for giggles, and let's go ahead and move this stuff out of the way here. And next I want to show you guys actually the pulp that's created. So this is literally the pulp that was created along with here. And I mean, this pulp to me is impressive. I mean, I could take this pulp and squeeze it. You can see I'm just squeezing pulp, and I'm not able to squeeze any juice out. So I mean, if you had a press and ran this to the press, could you press out more juice? Absolutely. The question is, how much extra juice would you press out? And in my opinion, I don't think it's a lot. I expected the pulp actually to be a lot wetter than this. But you know, the pulp is actually fairly dry. I mean, there's no even wetness collecting at the bottom of this little pie pan here. So it looked like we got all the juice out. I think that's pretty much it. We're going to go ahead and stop that. And you know, the machine's run 45 minutes approximately probably now. And once again, here's more of that pulp here just coming right out. I mean, this stuff is nice and solid. That's lots of apple pulp and fairly dry. Would our press get this, you know, drier? Absolutely. But you know, this was simple, easy, simple and easy. I don't know about quick on that one. And so yes, the Kuvings. Oh, and I want to show you guys this now actually. So we have, that's how much we made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 64 ounces. So that's 1, 2, literally 3 gallons, 3 gallons and a quarter of juice, like in one sitting. I would definitely not do this task again with this machine with the apples of the condition I had. But I want to go ahead and take this apart for you guys to show you guys actually the parts you'll need to clean, and that's one of the reasons why I like this. There's very few parts to clean on here. Number one, you have the feed chute top, so you can see it's really impacted with all that pulp that did not go through. If you're juicing like things like carrots or other root vegetables, you know, and alternate feeding soft and hard produce, you're not going to have this much backup in there. In addition, we could pull out the auger and the screen assembly. So you can see that screen assembly is nice and caked in with some of that pulp that's getting through the screen there, and that's why this is a more rich pulpy juice, not like totally pulp free. You can run this through a sieve if you want to get some of the pulp out. I actually desire the pulp. It's kind of part of the food value of the food, in my opinion. And you can see all the pulp that's left in the juicing screen there. I'm going to set that right up on top. And then as you guys can see right inside here, it's fairly simple and easy to clean. Once again, 100% stainless steel. I think after all that, I got to try some of this juice here. We're just going to go ahead and drink it out of the pitcher here. Definitely good. So this is not a pure juice with like zero fiber. I am tasting some actually nice pleasant mouthfeel. It's kind of consistent to like a Kern's nectar juice from a can that I used to have when I was a kid, if you guys know what that is. It's not like water like a cold press 2-stage press would make. You know, this has more fiber in it. And actually I kind of prefer this actually myself. That's pretty much it. Wow. So what did we learn in this episode? We learned that the Kuvings NSF Whole Slow Juicer Master Chef CS600, that's NSF approved, can easily juice 34 pounds of apples with some patience, and that you should not juice super soft apples that are going bad, you know, that are starting to, you know, press in and give, because you're going to get, you know, maybe a little bit more clogging and backing up. They're better juice firm. We also learned that if you want to juice apples and your consistency is not going to be super hard and firm every time, you might want to get a 2-stage, you know, kind of grind and press style machine that, in my opinion, would work better. Of course, you know, if you're juicing vegetables, once again, results are going to be different. This machine really excels at juicing hard vegetables as well as leafy greens, things that don't have a super soft texture that can have challenges with any kind of slow auger or twin gear juicer. I think overall I still love the Kuvings CS700. I'm happy that it powered through all my apples with not too much hassle. I didn't have to cut the apples up into small little pieces to fit into a small feed chute. And now I have literally 3 gallons of apple juice that I don't know what I'm going to do with. I'm probably going to maybe ferment some of this stuff and drink some of this fresh over the next few days. Maybe use this as my bait for smoothies. I'm probably going to also be freezing some of this so I could enjoy it later in the year. That's pretty much it for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this episode using the Kuvings CS700 juicing a whole case of apples, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also be sure to share this video with somebody else that is interested in getting a commercial juicer. If you guys are looking for a home juicer, I don't necessarily recommend a commercial model. The feed chute, maybe a little bit bigger on this machine. The motor is definitely more heavy duty, but in most cases a home juicer will suffice unless you have a large family or you just want to get the top of the line. But even though you're spending the top of the line, you're going to get pretty much the same result, same yield as a home machine, with the exception that the motor is just a lot more durable and a lot more powerful and strong. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new upcoming episodes that are coming out about every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what we'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Finally, be sure to click the little bell so you get notified as my videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge, over 5 episodes comparing and contrasting many different juicers and vacuum blenders that are on the market at this time, so that you guys get the right appliance for you. Also, be sure to check the links down below in the description. I have a few other links for other videos I've done with the CS700 comparing to other style juicers, as well as my juice bar recipe, preparedness video on how to formulate a recipe for the CS600 or CS700, so you get the perfect result every time for your juice bar. Alright, so with that, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for YouTube visitors.